The rain hammered the campus quad like it had a personal grudge, turning the paths into rivers of regret. I stood there, soaked to the bone, my backpack slung over one shoulder, watching the taillights of the last bus fade into the storm, gone, just like my shot at making it home before midnight. "Daniel, you look like a drowned rat," came a voice from behind me, smooth as aged whiskey, cutting through the downpour. Professor Samuel Hargrove stepped out from under the awning of the English-lit building, his umbrella tilting toward me like an invitation I didn't know I needed. I turned, water dripping from my lashes, and forced a grin that felt more like a grimace. "Yeah, well, drowned rats don't have term papers due tomorrow." It was a lame joke, but Samuel laughed. That low, rumbling sound that always made my stomach twist in ways I tried to ignore. He was the kind of professor who could quote Whitman one minute and crack a dad joke the next, effortlessly bridging the gap between dusty tomes and the chaos of undergrad life. Mid-30s, sharp jawline dusted with stubble, eyes like storm clouds that seemed to see right through you. I'd spent the semester stealing glances during his lectures on American romanticism, wondering what it would be like to be the subject of that gaze outside the classroom. "Come on," he said, nodding toward his silver sedan parked under a street lamp. "I'll give you a lift." Can't have my star pupil turning into chum for the campus sharks. I hesitated. Professors weren't supposed to do this, right? But the rain won out, and before I knew it, I was sliding into the passenger seat, the leather warm against my wet jeans. The car smelled like pine air freshener and old books, a scent that wrapped around me like a secret. We drove in that easy silence at first, the wipers slapping rhythmically against the windshield. Samuel asked about my paper on Hawthorne's guilt motifs, safe territory, and I rambled, grateful for the distraction from the way his fingers drummed the steering wheel, calloused from years of jotting notes in margins. "You're good at this, Daniel," he said after a while, glancing over with a smile that lingered too long. "Seeing the shadows people hide. Ever think about grad school?" I shrugged, heat creeping up my neck. "Maybe. If I don't flunk out first." Home was a cramped apartment off campus in Ann Arbor, shared with two straight-laced roommates who thought gay was just a color palette. But tonight, the storm had other plans. Samuel missed the turn. "On purpose?" "My place is just up the road," he said casually. "Dry clothes, hot coffee. You can call an Uber from there once the rain lets up." It made sense. Logical. But my pulse kicked up anyway. His house was a modest craftsman bungalow on the edge of town, the kind with a wraparound porch and ivy climbing the bricks like it was trying to hold the whole thing together. Inside, it was all exposed beams and bookshelves groaning under the weight of leather-bound classics. "Bathrooms down the hall," Samuel said, tossing me a towel and a faded Michigan hoodie that smelled faintly of his cologne, sandalwood and something earthier. I changed quickly, avoiding the mirror that might show the flush on my cheeks, and emerged to find him in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, pouring coffee from a French press. We settled on the couch, mugs in hand, the storm raging outside like it was auditioning for our soundtrack. Talk turned personal, his divorce 2 years back, the ex who couldn't handle the ivory tower life, my coming out at 17, the fallout with my Bible Belt folks back in Ohio who still sent passive-aggressive Christmas cards. "It's lonely, isn't it?" he said softly, his knee brushing mine. "Hiding pieces of yourself." The air thickened, charged like the sky beyond the windows. I nodded, throat tight, because yeah, it was. Especially when those pieces involved fantasies about men like him. Then he leaned in, his hand cupping the back of my neck, and kissed me. Not tentative, not testing, hungry, like he'd been starving for this moment. My mug hit the floor, coffee spilling like ink across the rug, but I didn't care. His lips were warm, tasting of black coffee and unspoken confessions, his fingers threading through my damp hair. Kissed back, desperate, my hands fisting his shirt as if letting go would unravel everything. When we broke apart, gasping, his eyes searched mine. Daniel. God, I've wanted this since your first essay. But we can't. The doorbell rang, sharp and insistent, slicing through the haze. Samuel froze, color draining from his face. Shit, he muttered, pulling away. I sat there, heart pounding, as he crossed to the door and yanked it open. Standing there, drenched and furious, was a man tall, broad-shouldered, with a jaw that could cut glass. Sam? What the hell? You said you'd call. The voice was velvet over steel, laced with possession. Samuel's ex? No worse. This was Marcus, his colleague from the history department, the one rumored to be more than just a work husband. And from the way Marcus's eyes flicked to me, then back to Samuel with a storm of accusation, I knew the shock was just beginning. Marcus stormed in without invitation, water pooling at his feet like evidence of his rage. He shrugged off his coat, hanging it on the rack with deliberate calm that screamed anything but. "Who's this?" he demanded, nodding at me like I was a misplaced textbook. Samuel stepped between us, his posture shifting from lover to shield. Daniel's a student. Missed the bus in the rain. Just giving him a lift. A lift. Marcus's laugh was bitter, echoing off the bookshelves. He had that all-American look, golden boy gone slightly to seed, with laugh lines that twisted into something sharper now. Early 40s, tenured, the kind of guy who quoted FDR at parties to impress. I'd seen him around campus, always orbiting Samuel like a planet too close to the sun. Right? Because that's why your lips are swollen and there's coffee all over your goddamn rug. I shrank into the couch, the hoodie suddenly too big, too exposing. This wasn't my mess, but it felt like it, me, the interloper, the kid who'd crossed a line drawn in faculty sand. Samuel shot me an apologetic glance. Daniel, wait in the kitchen. I'll handle this. Humiliation burned hot in my chest as I grabbed my soggy backpack and fled, the door swinging shut behind me like a guillotine. Their voices filtered through, low and heated, punctuated by the storm's thunder. You promised, Sam. No more slip-ups. We're this close to the dean signing off on that joint grant. Marcus's tone was all business, but underneath lurked something raw. Jealousy? Hurt? Samuel's reply was a murmur, too soft to catch, but the edge in it made my stomach clench. I'd always prided myself on reading between the lines. Hawthorne would be proud. But this was a novel I hadn't signed up for. 10 minutes later, Samuel poked his head in, face etched with exhaustion. He's gone. Sorry about that. Marcus. He's protective. Old habits. Protective. The word hung there, loaded. I wanted to ask what the hell that meant, but the kiss still lingered on my lips, a ghost demanding answers. Instead, I nodded, sipping cold coffee to steady myself. So, about earlier, not now. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing the kitchen linoleum worn smooth by years of late-night pacing. Daniel, you're brilliant. Too brilliant for this. For me, it stung. That dismissal. But his eyes betrayed him, dark pools of want warring with regret. We drove the rest of the way in silence, the rain easing to a drizzle that mirrored my mood. At my apartment, he pulled up curbside, engine idling. This was a mistake. Forget it happened, but as I stepped out, his hand caught my wrist, thumb brushing my pulse point. Or don't. Just be careful. I slammed the door harder than I meant to, trudging up the stairs to my room where posters of indie bands and string lights did nothing to chase the chill. My roommate, Jake, was out, bless him, leaving me alone with the echo of Samuel's touch. I stripped off the hoodie, folding it like a relic, and collapsed onto my bed. Sleep came in fits, dreams tangled with Hawthorne's scarlet letters and Samuel's mouth on mine. Morning brought campus in full swing, frisbees on the diagram, coffee lines snaking out of Zingerman's, the crisp bite of November air that smelled like fallen leaves and possibility. I spotted Samuel in the quad during lunch, arms slung casually around Marcus's shoulders as they laughed over sandwiches. My chest tightened. Betrayal? No. That implied I had a claim. But the ease between them, the inside jokes, gnawed at me. Was the kiss a fluke? Or had I just stumbled into something forbidden? Class that afternoon was torture. Samuel's lecture on Emerson's self-reliance felt aimed straight at me. His voice steady but his glances fleeting, loaded. After, I lingered, pretending to pack my bag slowly. Office hours? I asked, casual as I could manage. He nodded, jaw tight. Sure. Come by at 4. His office was a burrow in the bowels of the English building, stacks of papers, a sagging leather chair, a window overlooking the Huron River where ducks paddled indifferently. I shut the door, the click loud in the quiet. Last night, I started, but he cut me off with a raised hand. Daniel, stop. He leaned against his desk, arms crossed like a barrier. I'm your professor. You're my student. That line? It's there for a reason. But his voice cracked, and I stepped closer, close enough to see the pulse at his throat. Then why'd you kiss me? Why invite me in? Because I'm an idiot. He laughed, self-deprecating, but his hands found my waist, pulling me in until our foreheads touched. Because you see me, Daniel. Not the tenured hack. Not the divorced cliché. You. The kiss this time was slower, exploratory. His tongue tracing the seam of my lips, my fingers mapping the ridges of his spine through his button-down. We broke apart only when footsteps echoed in the hall, collapsing into laughter that bordered on hysteria. From there, it snowballed. Stolen moments. A brush of hands in the library stacks, texts at midnight dissecting poetry that doubled as code. The brain is wider than the sky, he'd write, and I'd reply, but narrower than the heart. Marcus hovered like a shadow, his glares sharpening whenever he caught us in proximity. I ignored it, lost in the romance of it all, the way Samuel quoted Neruda in bed. Our bodies tangled in the sheets of a no-tell motel off I-94, the world outside fading to irrelevance. But shadows lengthen. One December evening, after a particularly heated rendezvous in his office, desk cleared, me perched on the edge, his tie loose around my neck, the door flew open. Marcus again, this time with a folder clutched like a weapon. Sam, the grant proposal, oh. His face cycled through shock, fury, disgust. You son of a bitch. Samuel shoved me behind him, but the damage was done. Marcus. It's not. But Marcus's eyes were on me, cold calculation settling in. Kid's got no idea, does he, about us? Us. The word landed like a slap. Samuel went still, a statue of denial. The office air turned to ice, Marcus's revelation hanging between us like a noose. Us, I echoed, my voice small, stepping out from Samuel's shadow. His tie, felt like a collar now, choking. Marcus sneered, flipping open the folder to reveal printouts, emails, timestamps from years back, words like love and forever stamped across them like indictments. Sam and I go way back, kid. Before you were even a glint in your daddy's eye. He tossed the papers on the desk, scattering like confetti at a funeral. Samuel's face was ashen, his hand reaching for me but falling short. Daniel, listen. But Marcus wasn't done, his voice rising like a sermon. He left me for her, the wife, the picket fence bullshit. Said he was straightening out, then she bails. And suddenly he's sniffing around campus fresh meat. The venom dripped, but beneath it, pain raw, unhealed. I saw it then. The betrayal wasn't mine alone. It was a cycle, spinning since Samuel's divorce papers were inked. I bolted, tie trailing like a scarf of shame, the hallway blurring through tears I refused to let fall. Campus was a ghost town in the winter dusk, strings of lights twinkling mockingly from the trees. My phone buzzed. Samuel, wait. Please. Then Marcus, run while you can. He's poison. I powered it off, the silence a bomb and a curse. Home was no sanctuary. Jake was there, nursing a beer and a breakup story of his own. Dude, you look wrecked. Spill. I did. In fits and starts, the professor, the kisses, the ex who wasn't quite ex. Jake listened, then pulled me into a bro hug that smelled like cheap lager and loyalty. That's fucked, man. But you're tougher than this. Cut him loose, easier said. The next week was a masterclass in avoidance. Skipping office hours, burying myself in the library's rare books room where dust motes danced like forgotten dreams. But Samuel found me there, slipping into the alcove like a thief. We need to talk, he whispered, his breath warm against my ear. I wanted to shove him away, but my body betrayed me, leaning in. We ended up at his place again, that bungalow now tainted with memory. Over takeout tie that went cold. He spilled it all. Marcus and he, grad school lovers in the hazy 90s, when AIDS posters still peeled from dorm walls and don't ask, don't tell was policy, not punchline. Passionate, reckless, until Samuel panicked, proposed to his college sweetheart to fix himself. The marriage crumbled under the weight of secrets. Marcus waited, loyal fool, through it all. I hurt him, Daniel. Badly. And now. You used me? The words tasted like ash. He shook his head, fierce. No. God, no. You're real. This, he gestured between us. It's the first time I've felt alive since. Ever. His hand covered mine, thumb stroking knuckles, and damn if it didn't melt the ice in my veins. We made love that night, slow and deliberate, mapping scars both visible and not, his appendix line from childhood surgery, the emotional gashes from years of denial. Afterward, tangled in sheets, he whispered plans. Sabbatical in New York, away from Marcus's orbit, from the university's prying eyes. Come with me. Just for the summer. It was a fairy tale, spun from desperation. I said yes, because love, messy, flawed, makes liars of us all. Spring thawed into exams, our affair a hidden bloom, notes slipped into returned essays, accidental brushes in crowded halls. Marcus watched, a specter, his smiles for Samuel turning brittle. I told myself it was progress, healing. But betrayal brews in silence. Graduation loomed, cap and gown a rite of passage I half dreaded. My family came, Mom in her floral dress, Dad grumbling about gas prices from Ohio, oblivious to the undercurrent. Samuel attended the ceremony, clapping from the faculty seats, his pride a beacon. That night, post-party haze at a dive bar on Packard, he pulled me into the alley for a stolen kiss. Proud of you, kid. It rankled now, a reminder of the chasm. Then the bomb dropped. A week before summer, an email from the dean, anonymous complaint, inappropriate conduct between faculty and student. My stomach plummeted. Samuel called me frantic. It's nothing. We'll weather it. But Marcus's number lit my phone next. Told you. Check your inbox. Attached. Screenshots. Our text. Explicit. Timestamped. The motel receipts. A photo grainy, but unmistakable, of us in his office. My head thrown back in ecstasy. He'd been watching. Documenting. The ultimate payback. Served cold. I confronted Samuel at his house. Rain lashing again like cosmic irony. Did you know? About him. Still loving you? Samuel deflated, sinking to the kitchen floor. I hoped. But I chose you, Daniel. I swear, the investigation hit like a Michigan winter, swift, unrelenting, blanketing everything in frost. Samuel was suspended pending review, his office sealed with yellow tape like a crime scene. I was called in first, the dean's office a sterile box with diplomas glaring from the walls. Mr. Ellis, the woman said, her glasses perched like a judge's gavel. We take these allegations seriously. Your cooperation is appreciated. As if my world wasn't fracturing. I stonewalled, claiming coincidence, youthful crush misread. But inside, fury boiled, at Marcus for the sabotage, at Samuel for the half-truths, at myself for diving headfirst into the deep end. Nights blurred into insomnia, Jake force-feeding me pizza while I scroll job listings in Chicago. Anywhere but here. Samuel texted sparingly, I love you. Hold on. Love. The word mocked me now, a prop in our private tragedy. Marcus cornered me outside the union, cigarette dangling from his lips like a fuse. You think you're special? He hissed, smoke curling accusatory. Sam collects strays. Always has. His eyes, red-rimmed, held a mirror to my own pain. I gave him everything. My youth, my career. And he discards me for normalcy. The admission cracked him, vulnerability slipping through the armor. For a heartbeat, I pitied him, the jilted lover, forever chasing a ghost. Walk away, kid. Before he breaks you too, he flicked the butt into a puddle, striding off into the quad. I couldn't. Instead, I drove to Samuel's under cover of night, The bungalow dark save for a porch light flickering like a heartbeat. He answered in sweatpants and a tee, hollowed out. Daniel. One word. A plea. We didn't speak at first, just held on. His arms a harbor in the gale. Then it poured out. His Catholic upbringing in Detroit. The priests who preached fire and the boys who stirred it. The closet so deep he'd convinced himself the air was sweeter outside. Marcus was my rebellion. You're my truth. We made love on the living room floor. Urgent and tender. The rug still stained faintly from that first spilled coffee. Afterward, he traced patterns on my chest. If we lose everything, we start over. Together, but loss has teeth. The hearing came swift, a closed-door affair in the provost's conference room. Mahogany table scarred from battles past. Samuel faced the panel alone, dignity his only weapon. I waited in the hall, thumbing through Emerson on my phone. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Decide. As if choice hadn't led us here. Word spread like campus gossip on steroids, whispers in coffee lines, side-eyes in the grad lounge. My thesis advisor pulled me aside. Focus on your work, Daniel. This town's small. Scandal's scar. It etched deep, a scarlet A of my own devising. Samuel emerged from the hearing ghost-white, but resolute. Reprimand. No tenure review this year. But I keep my job. Relief ward with dread, we dodged the bullet, but the chamber still echoed. Marcus was waiting outside, arms crossed, a smirk that didn't reach his eyes. Congrats, lovebirds. Enjoy the honeymoon phase. Samuel rounded on him, voice low thunder. This ends now, Mark. You're better than this. For a moment, something passed between them. Regret, maybe forgiveness, and Marcus deflated. Am I? After you gutted me? He glanced at me, praising. Take care of him, kid. Or I'll make sure you regret it. Summer beckoned, a sabbatical escape to the Finger Lakes. We packed light. His old Volvo groaning under boxes of books, my duffel stuffed with dreams. The drive east was a revelation. Highways unspooling like ribbon, rest stops with greasy diners where we held hands under the table, brazen in anonymity. Samuel's rental was a lakeside cabin, weathered pine with a dock creaking into the water. Mornings, we'd wake to loons calling, brew coffee on the porch, and write him on his novel, me outlining grad apps. It was idle, fragile as spun glass. We'd hike the gorges, fingers laced, debating Whitman versus Dickinson until dusk. Nights by the fire, he'd read aloud from Kerouac, his voice weaving spells. You're my road, Daniel, he'd say, pulling me close. Intimacy deepened, not just bodies, but souls. He shared letters from his father, dead a decade, scrawled apologies for the disappointment of a gay son. I confessed my fear of becoming my parents, distant, disapproving. In those confessions, we mended, thread by thread. But Marcus's shadow lingered. A letter arrived mid-July, forwarded from Ann Arbor. His resignation from the university, bound for a post in Boston. Freeing you both, it read, laced with sarcasm. Don't fuck it up. Samuel burned it in the fireplace, ashes scattering like exorcism. He's gone. We're free. Freedom tasted sweet, but illusions shatter. August brought a call from the dean. Renewed scrutiny, a new witness corroborating the complaint. Panic Claude, had Marcus recanted, or worse, doubled down? Samuel's face crumpled over speakerphone. Pack up. We leave tonight. The drive back to Michigan was a funeral procession, the lakes receding in the rear view like lost paradises. Samuel gripped the wheel white-knuckled, radio silence to white noise. We'll fight it, he said, more mantra than promise. But doubt gnawed. We'd borrowed time, and the bank was calling due. An arbor greeted us with humidity and hostility. Protests simmered on campus. A group of queer activists picketing the admin building. Signs reading, "Love is not a scandal." I'd emailed them anonymously, spilling just enough to rally support without self-incrimination. Seeing it now, rainbow flags whipping in the breeze, stirred something fierce in my chest. Solidarity, the kind I'd craved since Ohio's cornfields. The second hearing was public circus. Reporters from the Ann Arbor News milling outside, students chanting in the quad. Inside, the panel swelled, legal counsel, a diversity officer with a clipboard of doom. Samuel took the stand first, voice steady as he dismantled the evidence. Consensual, post-graduation technically, a loophole we'd clung to, no power imbalance in intent. I love him, he said simply. I's finding mine in the gallery. That's the truth they can't touch. My turn came like a spotlight interrogation. Mr. Ellis, did Professor Hargrove coerce you? The lawyer's tone dripped skepticism. I met her gaze, channeling every ounce of Hawthorne's defiance. No. He liberated me. Gasps rippled. Flashbulbs popped from the press row. I laid it bare, not salacious details, but the emotional arc, isolation to connection, fear to fire. This isn't about abuse. It's about two men loving in a world that still whispers wrong. Punish that, and you're punishing us all. Marcus testified last, subpoenaed and sullen. He took the oath with a glare, then surprised us. I filed the complaint. Out of hurt. Jealousy. The room stilled. Sam and I. We were something once. But he's chosen Daniel. And damn it, I see why. His voice broke, raw honesty stripping the venom. I withdraw it. Let them be. The panel deliberated 2 days, agony distilled. Samuel and I holed up in the bungalow, cooking spaghetti that stuck to the pot, laughing through tears at bad rom-coms. If we lose, he said one night, my head on his chest, we run. California. Start a bookstore. Adopt a dog named Whitman. I traced his ribs, memorizing. Deal. But we won't lose. We didn't. The verdict, cleared, with a stern warning on boundaries. Tenure intact, but with a queer studies elective mandated, Samuel's penance turned passion project. Marcus left for Boston the next week. A stiff handshake at the airport, our uneasy truce. Be happy, he told Samuel. Then me, or else. Fall semester dawned golden, leaves carpeting the paths like confetti. Samuel's class swelled, waitlisted, diverse faces hungry for stories that mirrored their own. I enrolled in grad school nearby, thesis on queer undercurrents in American lit. Our lives intertwined publicly now. Hands held at football games, brunches at Angelo's where waitstaff didn't bat an eye. Betrayal's sting faded to scar tissue, a reminder of resilience. 1 year on, anniversary marked by that first storm's echo, rain soft against the bungalow windows. Samuel knelt by the couch, not with a ring but a worn copy of Leaves of Grass. Inscription fresh. To Daniel, My barbaric yop. Forever. Tears pricked. I pulled him up, kissing away doubt. Yes, we built from there human, flawed, unapologetic. Marcus sent a Christmas card from Beantown. Found my own yop. Peace, forgiveness, late blooming. In America's heartland, amid Rust Belt grit and Great Lakes vastness, we carved space for love's messy grace. Not fairy tale, but real two men, scarred and whole, writing their ending one defiant page at a time.